Hey friends, it's week 2 in our art journal series where we are going to grow an affirmation garden. We are going to take all of these negative narratives that we tell ourselves and get them down on paper, cover them up with acrylic paint, and take time to plant the seeds of affirmation with our flowers in our garden. Join me, Jules, and come on this art bender together where we are going to grow a positivity garden. This is starting an art journal. This is the second week where we are transforming our inner critics, painting positivity. Let's get started by looking at our supplies. So I've got a various array of acrylic paints and acrylic inks. I've got a black paint pen, a black Eco line, which is an alcohol-based marker. I've got some acrylic gouache. It really doesn't matter what you choose, just an array of colors. Here's some white. I also need a credit card, or this is a door key from a hotel. And I've got some gold ink just in case I want to add some sparkle. And then, of course, I have my journal here. And we are going to get going by we are going to get rid of the negativity. So I've had a series of setbacks happen this week. So I've been reminded of a lot of negative things that people have either told me or that I've told myself. So I thought I'd just get them all out on paper, cover them up, and grow a positive garden on top of them. As I write these things down, I just want to get them out of my head and onto the page. You know, sometimes the thoughts can be heavy, but writing them down kind of makes them more manageable. And plus, if I get them out, they don't have to remain inside of me. I can get them out and be done with them. They're not going to define me. They're just passing feelings, and I'm ready to release them. And this is a way to do it. This is just the start of turning them into something better. Think about what y'all's are and start writing them down, and we are going to do something constructive with all of these negatives. Okay, I think this is quite enough. Oh my goodness. All right. So I am definitely ready to get rid of this crap. So I am going to start with this hot pink color. It's a pretty color. For the purposes of this demonstration, I don't want a lot of reflection from my light. I'm going to mix it with some matte medium. Give me a moment while I do that. And I'm hoping that's going to tame down some of the glare. So I'm just going to take some of this acrylic paint, just start slathering it on the page. I'm going to not really worry too much about where it's going or how thick it is. I just kind of want to put it all over. I'm going to use all of it. So you definitely have a choice. You can let this dry or you can just keep going. It's up to you. It just depends on the kind of paint that you have and how thick it is as to how long it's going to take to dry. Okay, so I'm going to dip it in my water and just kind of clean that off. Okay, so I think I'm going to keep going right now, and I'm going to go with some of this color. It's like an ivory color, cool ivory color, and I'm going to mix it with some of this matte, again, just because I don't want the reflection, and I'm excited about getting rid of all these words on this page. So now that I'm covering these thoughts with paint, I'm making a fresh start. I'm going to create my own narrative is what I'm doing. Get rid of all of this crap, all these negative thoughts. Okay, so now I'm taking a second color, and I'm just going to hit it in some places, just kind of here or there. I want to be able to read some of the words, I guess, or just a hint of it so it reminds me of what I got rid of. So that's looking pretty good. Kind of want to bring all this to the edge of the page. I like this lighter color, so I'm going to do that. So this stuff is a little messy, but hey, that's the way it is. All right, so now that I've got that down, and I could make some marks through that other top layer we just put down just for some textural variation here or there. Kind of pops the pink back through. I'm going to rinse it and get rid of this. Okay, so now we're just going to let this dry. So now that this layer is pretty dry, I do want to come back with a couple more colors. So I'm going to take some of this lighter color we have here and put it with a touch of this green, and we're going to see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. Mix it up with the card itself. Right, and layer by layer, you know, these words are going to disappear, so we're going to make them disappear. I am putting just striations of this green, probably in the bottom 2/3, kind of as a grounding element. Again, put as much or as little as you want. Cover the words up however you want. Do you want to see some of them still? Do you want to be reminded of things that you're getting rid of? Or do you want to hide them all the way, to not even be able to remember what you put on the page? Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. So we're going to get some more of this color and mix it with some blue for the top. I'm going to mix this with some of this matte again. I think this matte is really working out well. I tested all these paints earlier and they were very glossy and had a massive reflection back into the camera when I was recording because of my lights. Okay, I'm going to grab some blue this time. This is just acrylic ink, Liquitex. All right, like this color. I'm going to get this off of my palette knife before it dries like it did last time. And then I'm going to go for the blue up top here and do the same thing. I'm going to make sure it goes off the page up here. All right, now we're going to let this dry. So I've made a couple where I've really covered things up, but this one I've decided to let some of the writing show through. Here's one where I covered most everything. I can still see a little bit of my writing here and here. And then the other one is right here. This is the glossy one I was talking about. But yeah, you can barely read the words behind this one as well. So I thought this one I'd leave the words a little bit more exposed. I've got some gooey things happening here, so I'm going to get my card back out and try to shave some of that. Just a little goopy in the middle and right there. So put my finger in the middle of all that. Jeez. Okay, that's when you get a new rag. So this is mostly dry, and we're going to start putting our flowers down on top of it. So I'm going to get some more of this wonderful color, and I'll put some with my matte medium since that's working out so well. I might even bring in some of this blue just because it's there. It'll turn a nice lavender sort of color. Let's do that. It's a little bit different from the background. I think that's cool. That should be enough paint for our flowers. All right, so our flowers. Let's see. I'm going to put one here, and I'm just going to make a few blobby shapes. Really, that's all I'm doing. I need to get some more water for my palette. That one there, maybe one here. I'm kind of rounding the edges and making it it's not circular. None of them are circular. They're really just blobs. This one's more of the side of a flower. So you've got a bunch of U's and then maybe a stray one coming off to the side. Okay, others you can think more rose-like that are going to be more cupped, or tulip. That's kind of tulipy. Let's do another one here. Another tulipy kind of one. So I really am not thinking too hard about this. I'm going to put an odd number. I do know that. We'll just see where it takes us. I think about different flowers that I like, and I think about different shapes that I see in my head, in my memory. Let's do one like this. Going back over some of these just to darken them a little bit so you don't see through them as much. I think it's starting to come together with the words behind it painted over and that you can't see all of them, which is nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could add 2 more. I definitely want to add one right here. Let's add another little guy. And then I feel like I want one on the seam. bigger flower, maybe a daisy or something like that. I don't know. We'll work it out. Now, some of these I can come back and make bigger just to fill the space. So these flowers, you know, they represent growth, they represent change. As I paint each one, it's like I'm building something new on top of the past. You know, they don't have to be perfect. It's just about letting things bloom in their own way. It's a simple but meaningful way, you know, to turn those old thoughts into something better. Okay. You're going to let that dry. So while we're letting this dry, we're going to think of new affirmations, new positive thoughts that we're going to put on top of these flowers. So I have 9 thoughts that I need to replace all these other negative thoughts with. Okay, we're all dry. This is looking good. So I'm going to get my black paint pen out, and I've got my thoughts, my affirmations that I want to put in my flowers. And I'm just going to start randomly. So as I go, now that I'm adding affirmations to each one of these flowers, you know, these are just gentle reminders, are things that I want to believe in myself, or things that I want to focus on. Okay, I've got all my positive thoughts laid out, and now it's time to go around and make flowers out of these blobs. So I'm just going to take it one flower at a time, and I'm going to think about, like on this one, I'm going to think about a tulip. And I know they've got overlapping petals, some of them that peek out. There we go. I don't know what happened there, but I'm going to embrace it. Okay, this one looks like a daffodil. Okay, maybe this one. Okay, there's that flower, maybe round. Maybe this one's got pointy leaves, petals to it. On this one, I'm just going to improvise and do scalloped edges for each one of the petals. This one's kind of like a lily, maybe. Okay, now that I've got my, oh, one more. Okay, and now I just need to pull some stems down. And think about the shape of the leaves being just a teardrop. Think about the stems going behind the other flowers. Think about how we want leaves, if anything. Like maybe I'll pull just a simple leaf here. I'll make the stem come off to the side. Give it some leaves. So this flower is pointing this way, so I feel like it should have a little bend in its stem. I'm just going to keep using the same shape for the leaves, only I'm going to elongate them or shorten them depending on the space I need to fill. You can make it a little bigger, I guess, at the base of the flower. And one more. All right. Let's see, a couple more leaves maybe. I'm just noticing I have some spaces at the bottom where I'm seeing too much background. So I'm just going to add a few leaves here and there to fill in those areas. All right, so I've added in a couple more leaves. We'll paint these green. Green, huh? Let's dip some green right here. I'm just going to see what this does, just this ink. I'm just playing. I don't know what's going to happen. It might get weird, but we'll see. So it's kind of transparent. Now it says it's acrylic, so I'm hoping it's going to dry nicely, play nicely I'm just going to go around and fill in all of our leaves. So as I added all these little gentle reminders, I just tell myself these are normal feelings that I need to learn to replace the narrative, replace the negative narrative in my head with positive things. We are responsible for our happiness, So we need to have tools in our toolbox to be able to find happiness, find contentment in this world. All right, there's my leaves. I love it. Okay, and then I'm going to put one more thought up here, and I'm going to make it big this time. And I'm being messy with it. It's okay. So I want to write damn it right here and need to make sure that I've got enough to write the whole word. So I'm going to come here. There is my garden I made, and I have taken away all of my negative thoughts. I have replaced it with a more positive narrative. I am excited about my journal entry for this week. I hope you are inspired to create your own garden, to throw away all the negative thoughts and grow some positivity, grow some affirmations. Hey y'all, I'm Jules. This is my art bender. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you next week.